Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. So we got another SCP video for you guys. This is another one here from the Exploring series. Exploring the SCP Foundation, SCP-2998, Anomalous Transmission, 2485 megahertz. As you can see, we're doing this reaction live from our YouTube members. So if you would like to, you can join in. Just click the join button down below. See if any of the YouTube tiers have any interest for you. As always, links will be down below in the description to this video, the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring series channel. But yeah, let's just jump into this and see what this anomalous transmission is all about. SCP-2998.
SCP-2998.
Oh, emergency broadcast.
Anomalous transmission, 2,485 megahertz. When the average person thinks of an alien, they'll often picture a small gray creature with large eyes, or perhaps a more ferocious black-skinned creature from a film series.
That's what I tend to think about, honestly.
Fans of Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos might conjure up images of amorphous blobs or unimaginable cosmic entities. The SCP universe has no shortage of alien creatures, although
this picture right here always, I don't know, just kind of creeps me out. It's a giant one-eyed, I don't know. This is just like a weird entity thing that just kind of this is just a creepy picture. It's just this.
The SCP universe has no shortage of alien creatures, although many of them don't exactly come from outer space. One of the most interesting examples of alien life interacting with our own is SCP-2998.
Interesting.
The SCP report takes on a unique format, as it goes through a progression of different iterations, showing a sort of timeline of events for these alien interactions.
I can see that.
Some consider this SCP to be a little confusing, so I'll do my best to summarize and explain.
So, it's an alien signal that is like from Earth, though, I guess. Was that kind of where he went?
Before we get to the traditional information we expect from an SCP, however, we first see a notice from the director of the Record Keeping and Information Security Administration. She informs us that this document contains a series of false documentation related to SCP-2998. Due to a strangely resilient info hazard, the Foundation can't seem to delete these documents, but eventually will reach the current, accurate information. SCP-2998 is an electromagnetic signal with a frequency of 24,085 megahertz, with an indeterminate origin source, although it can apparently be found throughout our entire solar system.
Interesting.
The Foundation modified standards worldwide for radio frequencies and electronic manufacturing so that no civilian piece of equipment could pick up the signal. The signal was originally believed to be simply white noise that was being anomalously broadcast across great distances, but eventually the Foundation found and decoded information being broadcast along with the signal. This information turned out to be video footage of a humanoid entity floating in a dark room under extreme physical distress.
Alien TikTok, man. Just, you know, doing some alien TikTok.
Of a humanoid entity floating in a dark room under extreme physical distress. It would seem that the figure is being held in place and harmed using telekinetic forces. This footage doesn't give a great amount to go on as far as why or how this is being broadcasted to us, but the Foundation is continuing to work on decoding further information. The next iteration of the document, written sometime later, provides a number of new details. The Foundation has learned that the signal is not being broadcast from a single place, although further research is required to figure out exactly where it's coming from.
Interesting.
Additionally, they discovered that certain humans possess abnormal nerve bundles in their brains that allow them to perceive additional information from the signal. The Foundation is starting to purposefully expose both personnel and D-class individuals to the signal to discover more about it. More time passes, and the Foundation learns that the signal is actually not originating from any point in space that we can find. It seems to be coming from a source that transcends four-dimensional space, and is emerging into our universe.
Interesting.
Those individuals that have been found to possess the unique nerve bundle, dubbed the Rosetta cluster, are being exposed to the signal for 12 hours every day, followed by a debriefing. When someone with a functional Rosetta cluster hears the signal, they also begin hearing a high-pitched sound alongside it, and they soon begin having seizures.
Oh, okay. Not like a
During
dog
the
whistle.
seizures, the individuals speak constantly with no apparent meaning, although as time goes on, they grow more coherent.
Interesting. So it's almost like they get possessed or something like that, you know? Like I could see, like, this had always been a thing, but they were just, like, mistaken as, like, demon possession in the past or something like that.
This continues for as long as they are exposed to the signal, and they retain some memories after they recover. Interviews with two affected individuals shows that they perceive the experience as more of a strange fever dream, and when the interviewer mentions something named Adidal, the individual immediately states, "All glory Adidal, all power, all fall before Adidal, all light bends, all sound spreads."
The actual name of the emperor.
One of them describes a feeling of being larger than everything in the universe, with a sense of being above everything else. They also mention someone named Ruhar, and that they committed a crime. The other individual describes the experience as watching a 3D movie with all of his senses, but unable to understand the language. He goes on to describe the plot of this movie as we would understand it. He describes an entity, neither male or female, with great power and respect, like Al Capone. There's also another entity who wants to take his place.
So it's alien Goodfellas, is what I'm getting at here.
There's also another entity who wants to take his place, but knows that he can't just go after the leader himself, so he goes after his family in order to send a message.
Okay.
He hurts them in ways we can't really comprehend, beyond just physically or mentally. In retaliation, the leader entity captures him, and tortures him in a similar manner, publicly and for all time, to send a message to any others who would attempt something similar. It seems clear that the leader goes by the title of Adidal, and the one being tortured is Ruhar. The next iteration is when things start really to involve humanity. At one point, while monitoring the video footage from the signal, researchers found that a long period of time passed with the floating entity no longer in pain.
Interesting.
While it was normal for there to be periods where this would occur, this was a much lengthier event than normal.
It almost seems like this is like an alien movie, like you said, because it's like coming from like the fourth dimension. It's something that we're not really able to necessarily perceive properly. Even the people that have this like extra nerve bundle, they still probably can't really, I guess, comprehend it. I don't know, but it almost seems like they're just getting like a broadcast from like an alien movie or something, like an alien TV station is coming through from another dimension. I don't know. Interesting.
For there to be periods where this would occur, this was a much lengthier event than normal. During this event, 8 D-class personnel with Rosetta clusters that were currently being exposed to the signal experienced simultaneous seizures. Afterwards, the entity remained unconscious after the D-class were removed from the testing room, and then the signal stopped broadcasting entirely. During transfer to a medical site, all 8 D-class overwhelmed the escort team and fled from custody, displaying an unusual amount of cooperation, since they had never been given a chance to communicate with one another, and researchers believed prolonged exposure to the signal had caused motor deficiencies in the D-class. With the next iteration, the SCP document changes drastically, with it now possessing a Keter object class.
Like
2
getting
years
a Warhammer
after
now?
the
What is
8D
this?
class fled from the Foundation, an alien object approached and stopped near Earth. The object consisted of 512 pods linked together, although practically nothing else is known about it. This object began transmitting new signals to Earth that were picked up by radios, televisions, cell phones, GPS devices, and other electronics. The signal seems to take over control of humans, currently 3,400 of them, and the Foundation is attempting to capture or terminate as many of these affected individuals as possible. These individuals show advanced cooperation with one another without verbal communication.
So, okay, so now it's like this alien broadcast might be some kind of like telepathic signal that's taking over people who've got this like nerve bundle mutation or whatever, and so they're able to control these people through that. Interesting.
But also suffer from periodic motor deficiencies and hemorrhaging.
But yeah, the
Foundation so far managed to capture 5 affected people alive, but 3 of them killed themselves using their teeth or nearby objects.
Their teeth?
One of them destroyed her vocal cords and gave herself brain damage, but the final one gave a successful interview to the Foundation.
Interesting.
The individuals spoke in a strange, halting way, but the alien controlling them did provide some new info. A D-Doll came to our world to find a fugitive, named Ruhar, who escaped here. We learn that these aliens don't exactly possess physical bodies themselves, but are more of an idea that can move into different forms, sometimes only existing as a thought. Due to the abnormal Rosetta cluster present in some humans, Ruhar was able to unexpectedly transfer his consciousness to a group of D-Class. A D-Doll sent a single ship with 512 of his agents to take over as many humans as possible in order to find Ruhar's consciousness. The facility where this captured individual was being held was soon overrun by affected humans.
Like invasion of the body snatchers kind of a situation, but also like an intergalactic bounty hunt. Huh. Interesting.
And the Foundation began working on a project that would stop these signals from reaching Earth. The next iteration changes the SCP document even more, with it seemingly written by someone controlled by the aliens. Ruhar has taken over a great number of humans, and the forces of Adida landed on Earth to continue their efforts of wiping out Ruhar. The documentation of the SCP Foundation is used as religious propaganda, and a war is taking place between the two alien forces, mainly focused in North America, with humanity caught in the middle. A small percentage of humans prove to be immune to being taken over by the aliens of either side, but humanity is largely lost. The next iteration is largely meant to be the same text, but the letters of many words have been jumbled or changed,
War of the World stripe
as
on
it
here.
seems the database has been corrupted. We find in the footnotes of this iteration, however, is a series of communications between immune survivors of the alien war. The Foundation's connectivity is largely damaged, due to their own efforts to block the signals, the aliens landing and taking over the Foundation, and from the fighting during the war. But the footnotes feature still works. We learn that the aliens neutralized or moved as many Keter-class SCPs as they could off-world, but there are still a large number of anomalies that the aliens now have to look after. One of the survivors says that the 8 D-Class that Ruhar took over were killed by the Foundation 3 days after they escaped, possibly implying that there was no war, Ruhar is dead, and the other aliens took over the planet themselves in a futile search.
Interesting.
They concoct a plan together of combining 2 separate Keter objects, SCPs.
That would be pretty ironic that this alien trying to escape his imprisonment, and the escape ends up killing him somehow, and then this alien race comes to, you know, our world, tries to hunt them down, and ends up like starting a war over something that's already dead. That would, yeah. Talk about irony. Okay.
055 and SCP-579. 055 is an anti-memetic object, meaning that no information about its form, properties, or history can be remembered by anyone after leaving its presence.
Really?
It could be incredibly dangerous, and no one would ever remember that it is. 579 is something just as unknown, as practically all info about it has been expunged, but it is known to be highly dangerous. There is a reference to Roget's proposal for SCP-001 about not being able to fit a round peg into a square hole, referring to 055 and 579. One of the survivors is sent to get 055 and bring it to 579, putting the round peg into the square hole. The next iteration is the same document, but completely blacked out, leaving the document effectively blank. The following iteration is actually blank, with no text whatsoever. Finally, we get to the last iteration of SCP-2998, and a notice at the top tells us that this is the only accurate one. The object class is listed as safe, and the description tells us that 2998 is a signal broadcast throughout the universe, which seems to just be white noise, although researchers are hopeful to continue working on the decoding process to figure out more. So what happened? It would seem that by combining those two unknown SCPs, the universe effectively reset itself back to a time when the Foundation first discovered the signal. Events were turned back in time, the aliens no longer had a presence on Earth, and everyone forgot what had happened. Things went back to exactly as they were, except for some odd reason, the various iterations of SCP-2998 could not be edited or deleted in any way.
Interesting.
Whether the Foundation believes that those events occurred or not is unclear, but they put up a notice at the beginning that all iterations except the final one were falsehoods. If they choose not to believe it, unfortunately, it would seem that history will end up repeating itself. To quote the author of the
I like the theme of that in a lot of SCP's stories, where the person, whoever's reading it or whatever, or the group, their beliefs are what really affects what's happening in reality. I always find that fascinating.
SCP. The horrifying part of SCP-2998 is not that these aliens came here and took over humanity. It's that they did it simply to recapture a criminal.
Right.
It's often the SCP Foundation.
I mean, obviously that shows their level of technology and or how much they don't necessarily really care about us and how they view us. I mean, they literally came here and took over our entire species and planet just to catch a criminal. Only to, I guess, discover that the criminal had already died. I don't know. Interesting.
Mode of operating to accept collateral damage if the ends justify the means. It's interesting then to see an instance of alien creatures that operate in a similar way. SCP-2998 can be a conflicting SCP, as it involves some massive scale events and then the resetting of the universe.
Yeah.
But it's done in such a unique way that garners a lot of praise. Hopefully, the Foundation takes a good look at those permanent iterations, as those who cannot learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep. And is in the humble opinion, and it is in the humble opinion of this narrator, that strange things happen all the time, and so it goes, and so it goes. And the book says, we may be through with the past, but the past ain't through with us. In text from the blank iteration. I wonder if the blank iteration actually isn't like blank, and it's like the text. I mean, it's like it says, there's this hidden text in there. So maybe there's more. Interesting story. Interesting story about a signal coming from another dimension, and it's able to, you know, take people over, and it essentially, excuse me, sorry about that. And it essentially, you know, it's almost, there's like a faction. One person's a criminal, another person is, you know, I guess I shouldn't say persons, but just the idea of these aliens coming and essentially their consciousness being transferred through to humans, not even just one human, but potentially groups of humans, and you know, an interdimensional or intergalactic war takes place, you know, with one faction trying to hunt down the other faction and humanity getting essentially destroyed in the process. You know, obviously this alien race is far more advanced than what we are and cares nothing for us. We're just, you know, little ants to it. But also the idea that I guess potentially it may have happened several different times until eventually, you know, the universe got reset to a time before all these events happened to begin with. So interesting, very interesting, kind of an interesting kind of take on the alien invasion thing. But yeah, so that was the Exploring Series SCP Foundation SCP-2998 Anomalous Transmission 2485 megahertz. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider leaving a like and a sub. I greatly appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out and checking out the video. If you're still watching this video all the way through, really appreciate it. As you can see, I'm doing this live for YouTube members, so if you want to join in the discussions that we have before, during, and after these videos, just click the join button down below and see if any of those YouTube membership benefits have any interest to you. As always, links will be down below in the description for this channel, or for the original video without my commentary, etc., and to the Exploring Series channel. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. I'll see you on the next one.